Now, oh look, there's the logo. Ah, it's very small.
We've got a logo that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
No one knew who they were or what they were doing.
What they were doing.
Hello, y'all.
Hello, indeed. Hey, Mick, do you realise what today? Well, what? No, actually, wasn't today, but last week, someone emailed me and says, "Oh, congratulations on your 500th show."
No way, we've done 500 videos.
500 videos.
These jokers have done 500 videos.
With over 50 million views.
And not one of them useful.
Not one of them. Not a single one.
Well, congrats, mate. I raise my cup of green tea to you.
And to you, sir. My
Cheers,
decaf
buddy.
brown sadness water. Cheers.
For anyone confused why Dan is in the vlog room, the answer is Dan is in the vlog room. He's been in today shooting a vlog. And even though it's only 2 rooms away, we still think it's probably not right to be in the same room together. And we're still going to observe social distancing like responsible people that we are.
Indeed.
Yeah. We've got it all set up nicely here. 2 meters, gel, face masks, the whole thing. COVID.
Swimming in hand sanitizer.
Yeah, a COVID safe work environment. So we're so, I think for those of you in the UK and indeed around the world, but particularly in the UK, the dear old PM delivered some encouraging news.
When?
Last week, announcing
okay, that encouraging news.
Schools going back, some other things that are just give us the hope that we will be able to be safely moving among one another before too much longer.
Yeah, that's the dream.
If you are a skeptic, it's a free world.
Not a COVID-free world.
No, those of us running businesses, employing people, spinning plates and juggling things, it's a bit more real for us, unfortunately. So, yeah, do excuse the caution. Right. Welcome to viewers' comments and questions. Those of you who don't know, if you're joining us for the first time, Dan and I do this every Monday. It started off where we would answer comments that came in over our tube over the weekend. But the truth of that matter is they are so voluminous. We get thousands and thousands. We do read them all and we do respond to most of them. That actually the admin in doing that was stopped us doing other things that you would enjoy more. So we decided to open it up to the floor and we do viewers' comments and questions. We do something called Super Chat, which is where it's basically a tip jar. You put some cash in and you ask a question. We're going to turn that off fairly early tonight because we get so many that we don't A, see the rest of the comments and questions, and B, we go on way past 7 p.m, which neither of us can do tonight. We have to finish at 7. So with apologies, we're going to curtail the super chats. And we're going to turn them off at 20 past 7. I was going to turn them off at 7:15, but that's only 3 minutes time. So if you want to get
5.
Yeah, if you want, sorry, right. 17. It's the old 24-hour clock.
I see.
It's like you're on stage at 2000 hours. What is that? Is that
5 minutes, give or take. I don't want to rush you.
100 hours?
I better not get too close. They might mistake me for a member of the band. I'm joking, of course.
I'm getting a little shaggy back here myself.
Oh man, I've already made an appointment with a barber.
Yeah.
And I've made 3 in case they get cancelled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I desperately miss that man.
Yes. Oh yeah, because they open up on April the 12th or something, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some lady.
I think I'm his first client.
There was some lady today on Radio 4 saying that They are so unbelievably inundated with bookings. They thought that people might be a little bit reticent about going out again. They're like, no, opened up,
No.
slam, diary's full.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Come on, gigs. Come on, gigs. Come
I
on,
need to
gigs.
get my nails done. Jolly good. Jolly good. Hello. Let's see. Who have we got in tonight then?
Monocular telescope
Oh no,
allows
you shut up.
You shut up.
Hello to BV,
Hey, BV.
who is generously moderating as always. Thank you, BV. And thanks for putting me in touch with Keith from 5 Watt World this week. Have you seen 5 Watt World?
I have seen it. Not this week.
5 Watt World. I didn't know anything about 5 Watt World, I am embarrassed to say. Spend so long making videos for YouTube. Don't really watch YouTube. Keith's whole thing is the most music from the least gear.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's inspired my next vlog.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like how much? What is the smallest thing you could get away with?
Right. Hungarian nose flute.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already been a long day.
Yeah, it has. The other thing is my keyboard isn't working, which is brilliant, you know?
Oh, the keyboard's not working. Okay.
It's okay. I can rectify that down.
Glen B to you. Nearly there. Morning from Brisbane, lads and all.
Brizzy, blimey.
Brizzy.
That's a
Briz Vegas.
funny
My
time of the day,
home
isn't
ground. Might be if we're allowed to travel, we might be back there at Christmas.
Oh, going to Oz.
Yeah, I'd like to. It's been a few years now.
Nice.
The time to head back. Do you want to come?
Back to the homeland. No, I'm never travelling again. Got a dog.
Come on, dude. TPS from Oz. It'd be brilliant.
Can't. Got a dog. Can't go anywhere.
You can and you shall.
Yeah. Might be able to
You
find,
shall
might
go
be
to
able
the
to find a
ball.
kennel, I suppose. Right. Greetings from Guildford, says Luke McFarlane. Hello, gentlemen, says the Juggernaut TV2. Greetings from Toronto, says Counter Lucid. Sup, my boys, says Tony Brooks. Hello, Tony. You'll have to let us know how the job interview went, as long as that's not too, there isn't a negative outcome. Don't want to hear any negativity, but we hope you did all right. Akron. Lots of love from Akron. I don't know where Akron is. Do you know where Akron is? Akron?
Ah. It's in America somewhere, isn't it? Akron?
Yeah. Maybe. Old Man Zen says, boom mic in the shot gives me fond memories of Canadian broadcasting from the 70s. Let's be honest, some of the 90s too. It is a bit Anchorman, actually. I know. It just is what it is. A big hell yes to Monday Q&A. Bunday Q&A, says Albus Band.
My
Met her
happy
on
Monday.
Monday, it was my lucky Monday. Yes. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, it is, of course, Spinal Tap. If you haven't watched Spinal Tap, to quote Simon from Biffy Clyro, what is wrong with you? Luke Saunders says, hey guys, TPS is brightening up the last hour of work. Wishing you all the best from Wiltshire with Ibanez's and a 5150 behind me. Yes, I love those.
Nice.
Good on you, Luke. And yeah, I live in Wiltshire, actually, so fellow Wiltshireite. Right, we're going to turn the super chats off in 2 minutes, and then we're going to start answering them right now.
Turn them off in 2 minutes, yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
And then if we don't have very many, that's totally cool. We can get to some other comments, but we do have
Okay.
a lot. In fact,
Great.
we don't have as many as I thought. Good. Matt Lloyd. Hello, Matt. It's always nice to hear from you.
Yes, Matt. Hope you're well, mate.
He says, hey guys, just wanted to say hi and wanted to thank you for continuing to promote such a great community. We are all very fortunate to have you and your support staff in our lives.
We feel exactly the same way, Matt. We're very we love our TPS community, and we're very protective, and we think you're all precious, and we love you all dearly. And it makes it it's really an incredible place, just hanging out with everyone.
It totally is.
Just love it. Positivity and openness, and just wonderful. Love it.
It certainly made the COVID experience
oh man,
much more fun and bearable, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incidentally, the sum total of the TPS support staff at present is Catherine. We've got no one else working at the moment, so which is totally fine. But yeah, Catherine keeps the wheels rolling is the truth of the matter, especially where the store is concerned. George Radcliffe, hi George. Oh, bless you. He says, Mick, your latest vlog shows TPS's main advantage over other channels. Mick Taylor's skill and dedication as a producer. Your videos always bring the value and depth, perspective and integrity. Well, that's super kind of you to say, George. I'm quite sure out there in YouTube land there are producers of considerable might, not least Pete Thorne, Peter Honore for that matter. There's just a massive amount of skill out there. So we're certainly not unique in that, but I am grateful for your kind words. Thank you.
I'm going to give you a small round of applause, followed by a larger round of applause, back to a small round of applause for your vlog this week. I thought it was fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it was about...
Yeah, we've done.
Sorry, mate, I lost you there. You dropped out.
Just said I think it generated more questions than any other video we've done. Certainly that amount of time. It was so interesting.
What was interesting for me was that I thought there'd be more pushback about why we do things and why we don't do it a different way, but actually it wasn't that. The vast majority of response was for anyone who hasn't seen. I asked the question: are all gear demos completely pointless? Which of course is a rhetorical question because they're not completely pointless. But do you know what you're hearing in a gear demo? Because there's a great deal of even subtle production stuff that radically changes the sound of what you're hearing. And which isn't to say anyone's trying to cheat you out of hearing the real thing or anything like that. They're just subjective decisions that kind of have to be made as part of the recording process. And most people were like, yeah, of course, I know this. I don't really watch TPS for the actual sound or any gear demos. It's more the reaction of the humans. And it's more the kind of... what people were saying is they look between the lines for everything and just get a vibe about a product, whether it's going to possibly fit with what they are sort of thinking. So it's more I mean, this is logic, isn't it? It's more to help narrow things down than it is to make a final decision or whatever. But then there were a few people which kind of took me by surprise who were like, oh my God, you guys use EQ? I'm out.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting about that is that the assumption then is that a microphone in the room is a natural sound.
Yeah.
And it is,
or the sound of the mic on the cabinet is like, you hear that in isolation. It's like, that is not what it was like at all.
It is so far from, just a mic in a room is so far from what the human perceives in that room. It's almost impossible to put it into words unless you are lucky enough to be able to stand where that microphone is and then hear the microphone back through the thing. So it is all to say the decisions that we all make and every, real proper record producer makes is all a bunch of subjective choices. Not better, not worse, not right, not wrong, just subjective choices. And it's helpful to know some of those things, perhaps.
Totally.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm banging on too much.
No, it was really fascinating, mate. Well done.
George, thank you for your kind words. Yeah. Bobbler42, nice to hear from you. He says, the freaking bender is here.
Hurrah!
It got lost in the post.
It got lost in the post, didn't it? Yeah.
It overtakes the Field Marshal as the second best gated fuzz after Mystery Big Cheese Clone.
Ooh.
That's good. I'm glad you like it. It's you will have done, but that last quarter of the dial tone on the Fuzz.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to going to see David, and you know, I saw the interview that Josh did with him a while ago, and he's just such a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
And I want to sort of, I want to get close, a better understanding of where he's coming from circuit design, because what he ends up with is just so creative, so creative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. Funnily enough, I was tidying up the studio today and ended up moving some of his stuff about, thinking, oh my God, we've got all this stuff we should get into. There's so many pedals we've got at the moment that we really need to get into.
That's what we haven't. Well, it's been far out. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm just screen grabbing all the super chats, Dan, so that
well done.
So that when I turn it off in a minute, if it goes wrong,
we've still got them.
We've still got them.
Well done, buddy.
Because I just don't know.
James Donahue says, good morning from beautiful Lake Tahoe, California.
Who says that?
James Donahue.
I've
never been there. I've been throughout California a bit, but I haven't been to Lake Tahoe.
Tahoe, yeah. Some good friends of ours had a holiday home there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm looking forward to being able to do stuff again. But we haven't been to America, and because we didn't do the last NAMM. I don't even know if we did the NAMM before that.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do the last NAMM, and then the last two NAMMs have been cancelled. So by the time we get back there again, it'd be like 4 years.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we'll be older, Dan. I've turned Super Chat off, so if you can still see it as an option, please don't do any more Super Chats. But I think I've turned it off.
Okay.
Who knows?
Let's see.
Right, D.W. Monroe. Hello, D.W. Monroe. He says, hey, gents. Thanks to your influence, I'm now rocking a Friedman small box and a matchless C15 wet dry.
Oh.
Do you have any advice as I look into lessons for the first time in 15 years? Any pitfalls to avoid?
Wow. Yes. The most important thing for lessons is find someone who sounds like the way that you want to play. It's great getting, theory lessons and getting your harmony, that sort of stuff together. That's wonderful. But if you actually want to get lessons from a guitar teacher, find a guitar teacher who sounds like, something that you would like to be able to play like. That's my 2 cents, Mick.
I think it depends what you want to learn as well, because, with guitar tuition and guitar learning in general, if you want to play well, you sort of got to start from the beginning, which I've never had the patience for. But learning how to play properly, learning your chords, is really the only way. But it's not very much fun, and it doesn't bring you instant results. So I think if you could identify the specific bits in your playing that you want to brush up on first, that might help you narrow down the search a bit. Dan and I are both great fans of an online learning resource from TrueFire.
TrueFire's brilliant.
I've got a couple courses from there. There's an Alan Hines one, Robin Ford one.
Yeah.
They're pretty cost effective, and they're always delivered in a way that's really chunked up nicely. You get a load of downloadable resources in terms of tab or whatever it is you need. It's great. So it's called TrueFire, TrueFire.
Yeah. So in that sense, because I'm a Pat Martino nut, I've gone and got his course, and it was fascinating. To be fair, I didn't learn a lot because it's not really the way that. I mean, sorry, I did learn loads, not necessarily about guitar playing because it's not really what he teaches, but about putting your life experience into your music, which is really fascinating. But yeah, depending on what you want to learn, if you want to, there are like Paul Davis has got a really comprehensive guitar course going from start to jazz harmony level.
That's Paul Davids.
So there's so much information out there. But if there's someone on TrueFire that you're really interested in, the TrueFire courses are fantastic.
Yeah, good luck and welcome back.
Good luck, mate.
Guy Nelson. Guy, thank you for your generosity. No question, maybe there'll be one in time. John Elliott. Hi, John. He says, just finished my new rig with a 65 Deluxe Reverb and an AC-15. Epic tone. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Yep. I'm unreal.
Yeah, it's a great pairing. Dan was using the Deluxe Reverb today, weren't you, Daniel?
Yep, I sure was. It was lovely.
Albus Band, Aaron, hey man, how are you? He says, I'm at work and got called out of my office to help with orders on the floor due to low staffing, so I'll catch the replay. All my love, legends.
Bless you, mate.
Good on you, Aaron. It's great to hear from you as always. Joe Charlesworth says, hi chaps, my 66 Telly has developed a back bow. So Johnny, presumably Johnny Kincaid, is replacing the fretboard to fix it, like he did on Dave Gregory's. I've got to choose the radius and frets. Since it's inherently not going to be original, I'm thinking 9.5 inch radius and 6105. What would you do?
I love the vintage radius.
Yeah, me too. 6105s.
6105s are great.
Yeah, I mean, it's lots. Some people don't like them. Some people do like them. What I like about 6105s is they're not too wide. Growing up on vintagey frets, I don't want them too wide. Vintagey Fender frets, anyway. I don't want them too wide, but they do give a decent amount of height. So if you play like me and Dan do, i.e. not in a particularly refined manner, and you need to get under the strings to bend, I find a bit of height on the fret really helps. And that will also help with your fingerboard radius thing, right? So if you're thinking about going to 9.5, one of the drivers for that might be that the guitar chokes out a bit when you bend. For anyone who doesn't know, the curvier the fingerboard radius is, here you go, you probably do all know this, but for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to explain it. If you look down the fingerboard of your guitar, it has a radius, right? Like that. It's curved, unlike a classical guitar fingerboard, which is flat. And vintage guitars, vintage Fenders had a 7¼ inch radius. Most modern Fenders have a 9½. Gibsons have always been 12. Contemplative chord while I think about that. Gibsons have always been 12, so it's not like all vintage guitars are curvy, but one of the great things about the feel of a vintage Fender is, of which I don't have here, is the curvy fingerboard just feels really comfy to play down here. But when you get up here, because of the curvature of that fingerboard, you push a string up, and it will choke eventually, but this is a 7¼ inch board, no chokey.
I know jokey, it no chokey.
And there's no chokey because Johnny did it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if you love the feel of that 66 Telly and you want it to feel as similar as it possibly can, go with the original radius. If you have other guitars that are 9.5 and you prefer that feel, go with that. Johnny's a really smart guy. He might not need it to be 7.25 or 9.5.
Yeah.
He might be able to do you a conical radius where it's 7.25 down here and 9½ up here. Or he might be 8 and a bit across the whole thing, works just fine. And he's really smart about that. Quite often if you get somebody who really knows what they're doing to do your refret, they can crown the frets to give you a slightly different radius as well. So it's all for the taking.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. Good luck. But it hard to imagine it in better hands.
You know what? Doing that show with Johnny, that when Blue and Red got refretted, and seeing up close how he worked, it was so beautiful, and I'm so glad I got to share that with everyone, to see a real true artisan. The only problem now is I can't get my guitars into him to get fixed because he's got a backlog of months and months and months, and my acoustic guitar that he's building for me just goes get further and further and further away. But I'm really glad that people, just to know that there are people like that out there.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah, I hope Johnny could take on an apprentice to pass on some of it. But
yeah,
I'm not sure he's massively into that. Jason Carapazzi. Hi, Jason. Always good to hear from you.
Jason.
He says, I have the Iron Man 2 Mini, the Attenuator by Tone King. Thursday's video made me realise it has a line out to use with IRs in Logic. How is this different to, say, the 2 notes Captor X? I'm struggling to understand IRs in general. Well, Jason, it's very interesting you asked that question. I plugged in the Iron Man direct, just as a direct out. It has a... Right, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to come up here and show you, then I'll come back and explain. In fact, Dan can explain what people are seeing now. Daniel, I'm going to show them the front panel.
Okay, I can't see. I can't see anything.
The front panel is all the stuff you would imagine to be on the front panel.
Indeed. There you go. Front panel. Everything.
Rear panel.
The big knob. Tony Downey.
There you go. So the rear panel has a DI output which has a level switch and a cone or an edge switch. And I'm going, ooh, that means it's obviously a speaker simulated output. I don't think there's an IR in here. I think it's analog, isn't it?
There's no IR in there. Doesn't sound like an IR.
I mean, I don't know. I was expecting, and here's to the point, Jason, I was expecting to have to add some speaker simulation to the direct out, but no, it was just straight in, no IR added. That was the sound straight out the back of the Iron Man. So let me just look that up a sec. Iron Man 200 watt. So back to your question, which was struggling to understand IRs in general. Okay, Dan, can you explain what an IR is, please?
So an impulse response, it's a mathematical calculation that responds the way that a speaker would. So basically, you take your preamp sound and you put it in your computer, and that gets processed and sounds and reacts in a very similar way to the speaker that has been profiled. And you can get all different sorts of IRs. You can make them yourself. It's a really clever thing. The 2 Notes guys have got the 2 Notes Wall of Sound, which is a really excellent IR, sort of online IR plug-in place where you can have your, so I've got Wall of Sound in Logic when I was using that, and you can just have Wall of Sound as a plugin and then choose your IRs from this incredible library of IRs that they've got. Or you can have, load separate IRs into separate devices. But yeah, basically it's emulating the way that speaker would sound. Not only does it emulate the speaker, but it emulates the mic, it emulates the room that it's in. So yeah, it's an impulse response of everything in that chain.
Yeah, perhaps some of the easiest ones to understand are in, for example, the UA aux. And when I say that, it's because you get a graphic representation of the microphone on the cabinet in a room. And it's all very, designed for people like me. just to it says the Iron Man 2's line out and DI outputs provide a line level signal that can be used to drive another amplifier, blah blah blah. The DI out features an analog speaker cabinet simulation that compares head on with some of the most intricate computer based IRs out there. I would agree, because I plugged it in and was expecting it to sound awful, as any direct guitar sound does until you add some speaker simulation. Hang on, let me qualify that. Doesn't sound like a mic speaker. Of course, a direct sound into a desk can be a great sound, as David Gilmour proved and many other people who've recorded direct over the years, but certainly doesn't sound like a microphone on a speaker, which is what I wanted in this instance. And I was like, wow, actually that sounds pretty good. Don't need to do anything to that. Don't need any IRs. And then I look on the back and see the switch which goes axis, cone or center, i.e. is the microphone placed in the middle of the speaker or at the edge? And it's like, okay, it must be speaker simulated then. So Jason, to answer your question, if the 30 is the same, and I'm just going to look it up, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, the Mini, then you don't need any further IRs. Whereas certain other products are designed to not be speaker simulated at source when they send the DI, and then you then need to process it, post-process it with an IR. Now the great benefit of it being analog is, Daniel?
No latency.
Woo! No latency. So you want to use it wet dry, go for your life.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a really nice thing to do if you're at a gig and you give that to the sound guy. And but it's a really nice way to, if what I used to do with a power station is, a bit of that to a PA, and it was just focusing the PA, but it can help just to fill things out a bit. Yeah, really, really cool.
Yep, just checking the manual for the Iron Man Mini. It does not have speaker simulation, so you do have to use an IR with it.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, so it doesn't have that built in.
Good. Well done for checking, mate.
Yes, it doesn't have it built in, according to the Tone King website today. There are analog options for that if you don't want to use an IR, or dive into the world of IRs. There's a lot to discover. Cool. Apologies for all of you, no doubt, screaming at the comments section. It doesn't have it. It took me a minute just to get to the relevant page. Duncan Plexico says, hi, I received my G3 Atom.
Oh, nice.
TYVM to your very Miguel.
Manuel.
TYVM, Dan?
Tickle.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Bar. There you go.
Yes, thank you very much.
That was a save.
I told Wifey Atom makes no noise and turns on and off pedals without buttons. Other pedals with buttons. She knows pedals have buttons and is confused.
Very good. Very good.
Shawnee is Cubs fan 1. Shawnee is Cubs fan 1. Says, hi guys, what do you think of the Fender Highway 1 series guitars? I've got a Highway 1 Telecaster and I'm digging it. It complements my Les Paul nicely. Cheers from Chicago. Cheers to Chicago, Sean. And I'm presuming, I'm guessing that the Chicago Cubs is something, is it? You have to forgive us.
Yeah. Where are the Red Sox?
Sport is illegal in this country. Chicago Cubs. Oh yeah, they play baseball. What?
Sorry, yes.
That's the one where you slam it in the hoop, is it?
Yeah. And then you got to catch it through the hoop and score 3 points.
And then you score a touchdown.
before exactly.
Sorry.
Before the other guy puts it in.
Sorry. I know. Baseball, basketball, and football are like literally like religion in the US. So I apologise.
You know what though? I've got a real thing for baseball movies.
Do you?
Yeah, man. So The Natural is one of my favourite films ever. But like films like Moneyball and Field of Dreams and stuff. I don't know. I love baseball movies. When they're done great, they're amazing.
Slapshot.
Slapshot.
Yeah. Kevin Costner made the real super famous one, didn't he?
Yeah, Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come.
Yeah, that's the one.
Or was that Wayne's World?
Great film.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Chicago Cubs, Shawnee. What do we think of Highway 1? Chris Buck's main Strat is a Highway 1 Strat. That's what we think of Highway 1 guitars.
There you go.
Awesome sounding guitar. My experience of them, I've got a Highway 1 Texas Telly that is a bit body heavy. Sounds really good with gain and tuned down a bit. It wouldn't be my choice as a like kind of tellies that Dan likes, but yeah, great. I think they sit in a really nice. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but for me, they always sat in a really nice place of spec, price, and sort of vintagey attributes. And I think that's why they were so popular. Maybe they still do make them. Don't know. I think it's all Vintera and Vintera worn now, is it?
Oh, okay.
Don't know.
I've got no idea.
One of the downsides of not working on a guitar magazine is I have absolutely no idea what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't good. Sam Webster. Hello, Sam. Mrs. Crabapple. Oh, right, okay.
Crabapple.
Sorry. Yes. Mrs. Crabapple and Principal Skinner were in the closet making babies. And I saw one of those babies and it looked like me.
Okay.
Is that a quote?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll find out because that's rather wonderful.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Luke McFarlane. Hi, Luke. He says, "Hey guys, just got my ML3 Beer Baritone last week. Will you guys be looking into getting one with a video room? I'm sure Dan would love it."
I'd love to try one.
Would be great to have a baritone.
Yeah, definitely.
Whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They sound so cool.
There was a Fender one. It's like a 6-string bass.
Yeah, well, there was the bass 6.
The bass 6, that's the one.
Which was a very different thing. And then over the years, they've done various baritones. They did a really good Squier Jazzmaster baritone for a minute there, which was really cool. Don't know if they still do that. There's been a Bejo Sexto Telly over the years, which I think was a baritone, maybe.
The Telly's a good shout for baritone. With
well, I think it would be cool to get an ML3, wouldn't it? Because that's beer and we love him and it's very...
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that because the Telly thing being so rock solid.
Yeah.
For and that's a big when you're going down low.
Yeah.
For that sort of thing, that'd be really cool. Do you remember the band, the Presidents of the United States of America?
I do.
So they didn't have a bass player. They just had one guy on baritone guitar. And they sounded massive.
Going to the country, going to eat a lot of peaches. Was that them?
That's the one. I like them.
Yeah. Well, John Spencer Blues Explosion. No bass player.
Oh, there you go.
Just Judah Bauer. Russell Simmons. Blues Explosion. Yeah. Blues Explosion.
Oh, Akron's in Ohio, apparently. There we go.
Where is Akron?
Akron is in Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. Anybody going to San Antonio? Akron? No, that's not that one, is it? Anyway, moving on. George Radcliffe again. Hi, George. He says, "Hi, DNM. I want to add a fuzz pedal.
The D&M Fud Pezzle.
Yeah, Fud Pezzle. There it is. You heard it here first. Yeah, with like a picture of Elmer Fudd.
Yes, man.
The FUD Pezzle. Gonna whab
Great.
it.
Okay.
What did he say? Did he say wabbit? Was that what he said?
Wascally Wabbit.
Gonna get that wabbit. The FUD Pezzle. Awesome. Anyway, George wants a FUD Pezzle to add to his setup, which is single coil Strat, Tumnus Deluxe, Camouflage, Keeley Echoes, Walrus R1, which is a reverb. The main requirement is it must be able to do the wonderful analog spitty thing.
With those pedals, I think you're going to want something, I'm going to say silicone-y, more stable.
Yep.
I don't, what's a...
You need, well, you want to get something with a bias control on it, because that will help you dial that level of spit in exactly where you want it. Actually, the Eric Johnson fuzz face was a bit spitty in the way that was set up, but you can't control it off the pedal itself, so you just need to be able to dial in the right place. Surely a Zevex Fuzz Factory.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sit down with that and spend some time with it, and yes, it'd be very spitty. I'm thinking,
That has got a specific gate on it, hasn't it?
It does. It
Fuzz
does.
bender,
And
can
gets really full on that thing. I was thinking more along the lines of one of Josh's fuzzes.
Yeah. Or this.
I can't see it.
Keeley Fuzzbender.
Oh, Keeley Fuzzbenders.
Yeah, Keeley
Great.
Fuzzbender would be a good shout. That's
Right.
got a bias control. Dan gone off again. Oh no! Yeah, I think we've lost Dan. Start.
No, I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here. Can you see me?
He just Dan just likes dead air.
I can't see you.
He spent
Apart
a,
from
he spent
when
a
you're
lot of
sat
time in
there.
radio.
When you leave me, I don't know what's going on. I can
yeah.
pretend I can see what you're doing and just make stuff up.
Start
Which
with
is
the
now going for
start with the Keeley Fuzzbender. What else did we say before that? The Zevex Fuzz Factory.
Yep. And Josh's Silicon Fuzz.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called.
Ah.
What, one of the Legends series?
Yeah.
Okay, check out the Legends series by JHS. And also, go and check out Earthquaker and Death by Audio.
Yeah.
Because they will have something that warms you up.
Totally. Very
Yeah.
good.
Good. Carl Longbottom. Hello, Carl.
Hey, Carl.
For those of you who don't know, Carl made us a lovely pair of coconuts, lovely pair of guitars. Carl wasn't a guitar maker, he's a joiner, and he made these really beautiful instruments that play great and look great and sound great. And he's currently about to modify one of them to take some wide range humbuckers for Dan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to film a bit. I was going to do it today, but I ran out of time. But I'm going to come in. The humbuckers won't be here for a week or so.
Right.
But I'm going to come in and do some before and after. It's really interesting. It's a beautiful guitar. It's a telly shape, T-style guitar. And of course, I've got some amazing Telecasters, and the reality is, I won't use it for that. But what I will use it for something a bit different. And the thing that got me with that guitar is the neck. It's got the most amazing neck. So yeah, Carl's going to put some wide range humbuckers in, which they're making with the proper Q-knife magnets again for the first time since the 70s, and going to put a Strat tram on it.
Oh, cool.
So I'm really, really looking forward to getting it back and having a play. I think it could be really, really great.
Oh, that would be wicked. But Carl has a question for us, Dan, and he says,
Indeed.
You've got to answer quickly, all right? First thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Best technical guitar player, best rudimentary guitar player.
Man, Julian Bream, best technical guitar player, classical. Best what? Best level entry.
Rudimentary.
My daughter. How do you answer that? Best rudimentary.
Yeah, I would think about someone like Muddy Waters or.
Okay.
Which of course is a great insult to call them that, but what Carl means
Albert
probably
King.
Albert King.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's just say for the record, there's nothing rudimentary about what Albert does, but I think we understand where the question's coming from, Carl. I'm going to go with Paul Gilbert, best technical guitar player. I think he makes every other shredder sound like a GCSE student.
Who isn't concentrating in class.
Yeah. Who didn't turn up for the first half of the year.
Yep.
Rudimentary guitar player. So I'm gonna sort of call that feel guitar player. And I'm gonna go with that's so hard. It's so hard. It's somebody who makes really great noises on the guitar but isn't like a traditional technically great guitar player. See, I would say someone like Mark Rebo, but he is a technically fantastic guitar player.
C6 Steve.
C6 Steve. Yep. So whoever came before C6 Steve, like all the great Black American blues players. I'm trying to think of someone who's a bit funky and just out there and different and angular. I'm going to go John Spencer.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah. Feel all necessary. Blues explosion, man. Indeed, take a whiff of my pant leg, baby. Right, Christian Muller. Hi, Christian. When I turn the B switch off on my AB Baby, there's a slight hum coming out of the isolated B amp, and then it stops when the B switch is on, Dan.
Hang on. When you turn the B switch off. It could be a number of things. The best thing, if you send an email through to support, and we'll do a FaceTime and go through it with you. You've got, contact support at thegigroup.com, and we'll get a FaceTime session going and we'll go through it and we'll work it out. It's impossible to troubleshoot these things like this, because it could be caused by a number of different things. So there
you go. Take advantage of Dan's excellent customer support. Vibas Patil. Hi, Vibas. He says, for the longest time I was a fan of chunky necks. However, I recently played a fairly thin modern C and was amazed at how much easier it was to play. Have you ever felt this? What are your thoughts on how to choose the perfect neck?
I think it's all guitar related. So for example, the neck on my 61 Junior is really thin, but it's the perfect neck for that guitar. It just feels right. The neck on Butters is a thick, chunky, beautiful thing, and it's perfect for that guitar. It speaks in a different way. I think you got to take it from guitar to guitar. I remember when I first tried I was in a guitar shop in Brisbane, and Jeff Beck had a signature Strat that had those the lace sensor pickups in it, and the two together, and the neck was I couldn't believe the size of the neck. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was the most amazing guitar. That's the first time I've ever felt a really amazing thick neck. But it just depends. I've played. I remember playing a Joe Satriani model signature guitar, thinking, "Oh, there's no way in a million years I'm going to like this," and it felt amazing. Oh, the Alan Holdsworth Spider from Ibanez. So this is going back in the 80s. Single pickup of red, and it had a really thin neck, and it was just, oh man, sounded epic. But so I think it's a guitar to guitar. It's individual to the guitar. Some guitars work great with thick necks, some work best with thin necks.
Yeah, I would agree. Depends what kind of stuff you're playing. Like on my acoustics, for example, I like a thick neck because I spend
Yeah.
98% of my time below the 5th fret.
Yep.
And in order for that to remain comfortable over a gig, if it's too thin, I find I get really bad fatigue and my wrist starts aching, whereas when it's thicker, I find it easier, just purely personally, not saying that's the case for everybody. And your relative strap height will make a massive difference on how you perceive the thickness of the neck. Equally, if your thumb on the back of the neck, butterfingers, doing all the all that stuff, then a really thick neck can be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
For that sort of style, again, depending on how you've learned and how high the guitar is relatively. So I'm with you. I've always preferred thicker guitar necks because, controversially, I'm going to say this, I think more wood in the neck really helps the guitar sound good.
I agree, but the other thing is the shape of that neck. So you got your C shapes and your D shapes. I've never got on with a V shape on the neck.
Yeah,
I find them really awkward.
If you're unfamiliar with those terms, imagine the back of the neck. And the C shape is, as you would imagine, it's a C, it's round. A V shape is where it sort of almost comes into a point, which you would find on guitars from the early part of the 20th century, but then also Fender had a brief dalliance with it in the middle part of the 50s there on some Strats. Strandberg.
The Strandberg neck, man alive.
Very odd thing.
I'd love to spend some time on one of those and just see if there's any way I could ever get used to it.
Yeah, so it's...
Because I've seen some of the most incredible guitar players playing those things.
Yeah.
And I picked one up for 5 minutes when we were in Germany, and it was like it was another language.
But I think...
I had no idea.
It kind of underlines that point about some things can suit stylistic approaches a little better, which is not to be prescriptive about it, but it might be that the reason that it is that shape really helps that particular style of guitar playing. So, you can often perceive like a D-shaped neck, and the difference between a D and a C is where there's much more shoulder in it. So if you imagine this surface here is the fingerboard and we've got the neck underneath. The depth might be the same on a D and a C-shaped neck, but because you've got more shoulder here, that can feel really, really thick and slightly uncomfortable. I've always found certain SGs to be a bit more D than C because there's a wide fingerboard and there's a bit more shoulder in there. So, such a personal thing, isn't it? I know people who only like really skinny necks. I know people who only like really fat necks. I'm not that fussy. I'm really glad that the 335's got a hulking great neck.
Yeah.
And I'm quite glad that... okay, so Transit Van is too small for me. The black Strat, the neck is too small for me to play comfortably. Which is a shame, because it's a cracking sounding guitar. This one. So I did think, Dan, about acquiring a 50s maple neck for this.
Oh, wow.
And make it
Really?
make it a 50s style guitar. Yeah, it's just too thin for me.
Wow, okay.
The perils of buying a guitar when you haven't seen it, people.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, shame, because it's a good sounding guitar, but yeah, it's just too small. Yeah, good luck, Fibas. Yeah, maybe if you're thinking about it too much, it's not right.
There's some wisdom in that, definitely.
If you're playing the guitar and you're thinking this ain't right, then maybe. Yeah, good luck. Actually, right. Beer and coffee. Need opinions on Dennis Cornell and the Plexi 4550.
The only amps I know really well of Dennis is with this like the small 20-watt versions, which sound unreal. And he also did a very small run of fuzz faces, because Dennis Cornell was involved somehow.
He worked at CBS Arbiter.
There you go. But look, I've never plugged into a Dennis Cornell amp and thought, oh, it's missing something. His amps are amazing.
Yeah.
He really knows his stuff.
Does remind me, actually, his son now runs the business part of the company, and he was offering to send us the first Fuzz.
You're joking?
Yeah, they've done one called the first Fuzz.
Oh, cool.
Not actually the first Fuzz, but they've done one. And with all the COVID crazy, I think maybe our communication fell over, but yes.
Yeah. No, he makes excellent stuff.
Yeah. David Burke, no question, guys. The answer is yes. David Burke, no question, guys. Just wanted to send you all my best and a token of my gratitude for everything you do, says David.
Oh, bless
Burke.
you. Thank you, mate. That's really kind.
And Vibus is back in on the necks. Vibus Patil, he says, what are your favourite fret sizes? I'm not really into super jumbo frets. 6105 seems like a good happy medium.
Yeah.
Have your neck and fret size preferences evolved over time?
Yeah, well, getting more into vintage guitars, and you get used to the thicker necks, and then then you realise how great they sound. So definitely, and the 6105s, I found when they were brand new, they were a little bit too tall, but after the first fret dress on them, perfect.
Yeah.
And like Mick said, we're a bit heavy-handed with our guitars, so it doesn't take long at all for that first fret dress to come around. But it's a common fret on a lot of the custom shop guitars, and they all feel amazing.
Yeah, I like it. I wish I understood more about it, to be honest, because I'll pick up a guitar like when the Gold Top arrived with us first, the Les Paul. One of the reasons I love it so much is because it's been set up by somebody who really, really, really knows guitars.
Yeah.
And I'm unfortunately not that knowledgeable about that, and I'm not very good at describing why I really love this guitar and why I don't love that guitar. I could probably roughly point to what needs to be improved, and then that's when your relationship with a great guitar repairer or guitar tech comes in, because it's that conversation. They can interpret what you say into what needs to happen to the guitar. Bit like any great consultation, that there's a problem, but you don't know what the answer is, and the professional is there to help you stumble towards the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard making these decisions cold, and then getting the guitar. It can be such a dispiriting experience buying a new guitar, because it turns up. Certainly in the case of some of the, every manufacturer, but people who really ought to know better, the guitar can turn up in a shocking state.
Yeah.
And really does need a setup. Most decent guitar shops will do that these days. And of course, what they would regard as a good all-round setup may not work for you at all. So it's a very personal thing.
Yeah.
A great guitar tech is a friend for life, aren't they, really? Well, they should be.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Bruce, hello Bruce. He says, greetings from the US. Hello to the US, Bruce.
Greetings, Bruce.
He says, have you ever compared a Seriatone Centura to the Klon? I just got a Seriatone this weekend and really like it. Just curious if you've tried one to compare.
We've compared everything to the Klon.
Yeah, no, I've never actually A/B'd a Centura. I had a little bit of a sort of moral annoyance that they'd copied it so heavily. Do they? Maybe they pay royalty to Bill. I don't know. If they do, great. If they don't, well, whatever. Again, Chris Buck uses one, and he loves it. Everyone I know who's got one, who's compared it, says that it is indistinguishable. And funnily enough, I was talking to our friend Tom today from Universal Audio, and he's buying one to put on his new pedal board in Danish peat purple.
Nice.
So yeah, there's no reason to suggest that it wouldn't sound exactly the same. We have compared clones that sound different to one another. And in terms of all the clone-inspired pedals out there, they all sound kind of different, which is not to say worse or better, but just like a different take on that particular sound. But the key thing about the clone sound, for anyone who doesn't know really, really high headroom. So it's super dynamic to play. Has a very particular bass cut, upper mid-range kick, and it retains a bit of treble. And of course, it's not true bypass, so it has that buffer on all the time. And it is it's a buffer that I don't mind. I was about to say it's a fantastic buffer.
Which says a lot.
There's probably no such thing because they're all different and they all suit different purposes. But it's a buffer that I can live with and happily do live with. So it is a really unique thing, the Klon. Lots of people have looked at it and gone, oh, it's just a tube screamer. It really isn't. It's a glorious thing. And the really cool thing about the Klon, or indeed your Centura, Seritone, is I think it works with every guitar and every amp.
Yeah, right.
Which is really rare for an overdrive pedal.
Yep.
So anyway, yes, massive Klon fan, dear to my heart. Congrats on the Centura, and I hope you enjoy it. Gibson A01. Oh, that's a good question. If you had a grand, and this is £1,000, but I guess it, if we're talking euros or dollars, we're in the same ballpark. If we're talking Aussie dollars, sorry, not so much. But 1,000 English doubloons, Daniel, to spend on a vintage spec telly, new or used, what would you buy?
Oh, a vintage spec telly. Oh, man. I don't know. You'll have a lot more idea of this. I just don't know. I don't know what £1,000 for a vintage spec telly.
I would buy, they don't make them anymore, so you'll have to find one on Reverb, a Classic Series Telecaster lacquer. So Classic Series is what preceded Vintera. Made in Ensenada, Mexico factory, and the Classic Series came out, I don't know, sort of mid-late 90s maybe, as kind of not the replacement because they carried on making them there, but for ages you could get a Japanese-made vintage reissue Fender, and you still can. And Classic Series was really about doing that stateside, and they made in Ensenada, Mexico, which, for those of you who don't know, is not that far from Corona, California. And there's a lot of shared production over the two plants. It's a really fantastic guitar facility. Anyway, normally the Classic Series were poly lacquer, poly finish. They did a few with their sort of modern version of the Nitro finish, which is really, really cool. And you can pick them up used on Reverb or eBay for pretty sensible money. So Classic Series lacquer Telecaster, and I believe they came in a rosewood or a maple variant, but with a very limited colour choice because of the lacquer finish. They definitely did a white blonde maple, so I'm guessing they probably did a Fiesta Red and a Sunburst would be the normal way of things. Could be different, but check those out. If you can't find one of those, go for the modern Vintera Road One. I think they've done some Vintera Road Ones. That's what I'd go for. And
Great, I concur.
If you could add 250 or 300 quid to that and search hard, go for an American vintage.
Right.
But American vintage guitars prices are creeping up. And they're more likely 1,500 now, where they used to be 800-900 2-3 years ago. So yeah, price of used guitars gone through the roof. So yeah, first, Classic Series lacquer Telecaster, used, because they don't make them anymore. Second, Vintera Road Worn, which is a new guitar, and I don't even know if they're out yet. Third, American vintage Telecaster, used, if you can find one at the right price. Fourth, wait for the Jason Isbell signature Telecaster to come out in a few weeks.
Very good.
There you go.
Lots of people asking what's happened to Super Chat. We've turned it off early because we just weren't getting through them. Yeah, and Mick and I both need to leave at 7 o'clock tonight, so we can't be late.
Yes, so we will get through these super chats and then we'll hit the regular comments section.
Yes.
Which we should do more often.
Yeah.
Sean Ellis says, "Hi guys, I'm looking at a second-hand 1998 McCarty 22 soap bar, same as Mick's, on eBay for $18.50. Is that a fair price?" Yeah, I think that's a fair price. Second-hand value of PRS is not great. They tend to devalue reasonably quickly. I think maybe because they make so many of them, and the pricing structure seems to be that they can be quite discounted in the first place. I don't know how that works, but yeah, I mean, it's a USA made, really high quality, decent guitar. That's a fair price for that. I'd be looking more at $1,500 personally, but yeah.
Conan Barberis wants to know how come there are no cricket movies after we're talking about baseball movies.
Yeah.
Because cricket film would last 5 days, and you'd have to have but you got bad weather during that time, you'd have to stop watching. Yeah.
Surely there are cricket movies. There must be.
Yeah, you've got films
Don
like
Bradman.
There's a series like in Australia called Bodyline, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But there are some cricket films, but yeah. The other one is A League of Their Own, which is a really great baseball film. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Moneyball?
I mentioned Moneyball before, and people have said, yes, Moneyball, great film.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, there must be a cricket film. Who are the... W.G. Grace. Is it Don Bradman, the great Australian batsman?
Yes.
Who else has been good at the old...
Don Bradman was on his last game. All he had to do was get a run, and his average for his whole career would have been 100. He got out with the first ball, got out with the duck, so his career average was 99 point something.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was incredible.
I'd like them to make a film about Merv Hughes, and I want to play him.
Merv Hughes. I think he still holds the record for the amount of beer drunk
on a flight.
Between it's either between Sydney and Melbourne, or anyway.
Those are the days.
But I don't make him like that anymore.
When rugby and cricket was only played by public school boys, so you could get completely trashed before and after the game. Wasn't it? So, darts and snooker were the same, but they weren't for public school boys.
No.
Yeah, it's a shame that sports got so professional. It's all blooming mineral water and lettuce now, isn't it, Dan, eh?
It is indeed.
How about a vlog on physical well-being, says Curtis R. Jiu-jitsu, running, other choices relating to creativity and flow, keeping your head on generally straight. That is great.
It's a really, really good idea. The trouble I have with us doing vlogs like that is it seems a bit
preachy.
I don't know. I think it's fair enough to say that Mick and I do have a level of expertise in some areas. That, for me, it feels like I'd be reaching a bit. We're certainly happy to talk about what works for us individually, but without offering it as a as an expert analysis on any in any form. I mean, the jiu-jitsu thing for me was a really happy accident, and it is amazing. When I think I started doing it at the height of the most stressful years of my work, and it was just a moving meditation. While you're doing it, you can't concentrate on anything else. And I think if you're doing any level of sport where you're increasing your heart rate and you're physically enabled to focus on anything else. Surfing was the same thing for me when I was back in Australia. When you're trying to paddle out past the breakers, you can't think of anything else, and you've got no energy left in your arms, but this wave is about to fall on you. You've got to dig deep and find the energy. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. Someone's teeing up a triangle, and it's either, all right, I'll go really hard now and get out of it, otherwise you get choked out. And it's that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden you realize you just spent an hour, you haven't thought about anything else except that, and you feel epic. That's the best thing ever.
Very cool. It is. We know these things work. So in Dan's case, that would be jiu-jitsu. That he's just bought a rowing machine. Playing guitar, if you can do that unimpeded and undisturbed, that can bring a similar sort of thing. For me, it's walking the dog when I can do that in the mornings and in the evenings. It's just that regular tiny bit of outdoor exercise just helps me. And then the practice of all the stuff that I've been studying. Now, so we know all of those things work. The bit I'm still really struggling with is having the motivation to put them into practice.
Motivation is such an interesting topic.
So we know what works.
Yep.
And we know it makes a radical difference to our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we still choose not to do it.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I find the most interesting question.
Yep.
And, if you go really deep into that stuff, one of the reasons you're not choosing it is because you want to preserve the state of unhappiness that you're in, and that requires a psychotherapist to unpick that.
Yeah
That's how addiction works.
I remember being in some points of my life where I was so used to being
We lost him right at the key moment.
and that was ended up being like a security blanket. I was like, I couldn't identify with myself without being like that, without being in that state. And it can be a scary jump to go from, it is an unknown. Like choosing the things that will make your life better, make you give you a better sense of well-being. Choosing those things is an unknown step.
Because you are changing.
It does take a leap of faith, I think.
It is because you're changing who you are.
There you go.
But it's because you're changing who you think you are. And again, that's where a psychotherapist can be pretty helpful if you can't see it for yourself. But interesting. I love talking about that stuff. But like Dan, I don't really know anything about it. And it can come across a bit preachy. Or when we did it recently I think I talked about mental health in one of the videos we did at the beginning of the year. And I didn't really plan to do that. It just started happening and I just kept going. And by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, wow, I think there was something useful in that. So if that happens, we'll publish
it has
it.
been being, seeing you on this journey. It has been the most amazing transformation. And it's been a real privilege actually to see you on this journey.
Wow.
Because the transformation has been so bold and meaningful, and I see how you are now when when you get frustrated. Now you're able to deal with things and decompartmentalize and just I've never known you happier, and I think that's for me, because before, when you were stressed and I knew how much damage it was doing. Because I've been there.
Yeah.
But I think seeing the steps that you've made to get yourself in a better position has really been, it's been inspiring and really motivating to me as well.
Oh, mate, thank you. Well, maybe, I don't know if there's a way that we can try and share some of that stuff. It does feel like a relevant time to be talking about it. So
definitely.
Yeah. Curtis, thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Right, Justin Bellog. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Hope you're doing well and still enjoying your harmonious monk. He says, legends. I love Les Pauls. I committed the last year to bonding with my Les Paul. It's an £8 Wildwood spec with custom vintage buckers. Do you have any tips or gear recommendations to extend its dynamic range?
Yes. Mick did something with his P90s where he lowered the pickup and extended the screws from the pickup. Now, a lot of the times, I don't know how those guitars are set up, but you can do a similar thing with those humbuckers. You know, pickup height, especially with humbuckers, has a massive impact on that dynamic range. Remember, humbuckers will get to their limitations a lot earlier on, which is why people who play legato and that sort of thing like humbuckers, because it does that. It sort of almost automatically compresses. But, you know, getting the pickups a little bit further away from the strings and then bringing the screws a little bit closer can often yield really great results for that dynamic range. Yeah. But, you know, I certainly wouldn't change the pickups in that. They're amazing pickups.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a Wildwood spec guitar, I'm assuming that's everything you would want of a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Do just check that it's 50s wired, Justin. I'm almost certain that it will be if it's come from those guys, because they really know their Les Pauls. If it's 50s wired, that's a really good start. That gives you just a bit more interactivity and a bit clearer sound. I'm going to read between the lines of your question, and if you're coming from Strats and Tellys, or if you're coming from single coil guitars, which is definitely my experience, because, you know, obviously I'm a Strat person first and foremost, and getting into Gibsons was later for me. I would say three principal things that I take to playing that gold top, which I don't do on my Strat. Number one, turn the gain down. You don't need the gain with a humbucker. You don't need anywhere near as much gain, whereas a Strat can take it, can push it, sounds great, overdrive for days, stays dynamic and all those things. So turn the gain down. And if you possibly can, turn the amp up a bit and work those controls on the guitar.
Yeah.
For me, if you're finding you've got everything on 10, you've got a bit of gain on, and the guitar's just mush, there's so much to be had in a Les Paul with knocking the volume and tone down a bit, turning the amp up a bit, turning the gain down. For me, that's where they really, really come alive, which if you do that on a Strat, some people do it and it's great. It's not really where the Strat lives, in my opinion. It is absolutely where the Les Paul lives. So try those things. Turn the gain down a bit. Turn the amp up a bit if you can, just so you get a bit more headroom going. Work those controls on the guitar. I've come in from Strats. My first experiences of Les Pauls was to hit the damn thing to get more out of it. And it's almost like you've got to do the opposite on a Les Paul. You've got to kind of caress it a bit more for it to give you what it wants to give you.
Yep.
That was
whereas on a Telecaster or a Strat, you can almost keep going with your pick attack. It doesn't have those same limitations. Whereas, you know, play inside those limits of the humbuckers as far as your dynamic picking is concerned. Go and check out the video I did with Simon Jarrett.
Yes.
And he was using my Les Paul. And Simon knows how to work with the limitations of the humbuckers, and listen to the dynamic range he gets out of that guitar. I couldn't believe it was my guitar.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's a fab sounding Les Paul, that, but it's not a bright and light sounding Les Paul, is it?
No. Yeah, it's bright, but it's not light. I know what you mean. It doesn't have the air type thing that the Gold Top's got.
It's got girth.
It does,
which is
girth.
Kind of what, you know, 99.9% people want out of a Les Paul. Is that girth. The other thing that I should have said, I don't know what your pedal board looks like. If it's anything like mine and his, you haven't just got one overdrive on there. I would almost certainly be using different overdrives. So where I'd use Summit TS for the Strat, I would pretty much never use that for the Les Paul, because the frequencies are all wrong. Whereas I'd be using the Klon all day long with the Les Paul, because it gives you that extra little kick up there. So it might be that, you know, you've got a couple of overdrives and one favours the Les Paul a bit more and one favours whatever the other guitar is. I'm assuming it's a single coil guitar, but it might not be. Anyway, good luck, Justin.
Pooh Ninja says, Paul from the Choir Boys told me, use your volume knob, and he was right. Choir Boys were a brilliant Australian.
Yeah.
We used to play Run to Paradise every Australia Day at all the walkabouts in London and just go nuts. But they were fantastic. And he had an amazing guitar sound.
Right, sorry, excuse me for a sec. Were the Choir Boys the English rock band?
No, Choir Boys Australian rock band.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the English rock band I'm thinking of?
I think that there may have been a couple of different bands called the Choir Boys or the Choir Boys or something. But the Australian band, the Choir Boys, they were epic rock and roll band.
Okay.
Really great.
So I'm talking about the Choir Boys, English. Well, the lead singer was a guy called Spike. I met him a few times.
Right.
The Choir Boys. Yeah. Because wasn't it... This is going to get addressed in the comment section. I'm going to get off it now. Right. Magdalena Truskovic says, Mick, I didn't know you played with the Rolling Stones. You're old. Great video last week. Watched it multiple times because I've been falling asleep. Okay, that's good. ASMR, is that what they call that?
ASMR, yeah, right.
Yeah. True story, when I worked on guitar magazines, I used to get, back in pre-internet days, or at least before the internet was what it is now, I would get letters asking for autographs.
Wow.
People genuinely thought I was he. I even got a communication from Robin Ford's manager once asking me if I wanted to go and jam with him. And I'm like, well, yes, obviously. Oh, I see. I see what's going on here. It's not me, is it? For anyone who doesn't know, Mick Taylor was the best guitar player in the Rolling Stones by a million miles. Anyway, he didn't stay in the Rolling Stones very long. And I had no idea of his existence until I was about 25.
Right. I saw him at the 100 Club in London.
Yeah.
And he was playing with Ronnie Wood.
Yeah.
And do you remember Stephen Dale Pettit?
I do.
Yeah, so him, Stephen Dale Pettit, Ronnie Wood, and Mick Taylor. And they're doing their thing, and it was great. And then Mick Taylor started playing, and I thought, oh boy, he's having a rough night. It wasn't really quite on. And then he pulled out a slide.
Yeah.
And played the best slide I've ever heard in my life, and it just left me breathless.
Awesome.
Honestly, it's achingly beautiful.
Yeah.
Just came from a lot of really amazing slide players. He came from somewhere different with it.
Oh, wow.
And it was so amazing. Amazing.
Cracking guitar player.
Amazing.
Sadly, not me. Magdalena. So David Rustad says, love to you guys. Find a Greer Mini Chief if you ever can. 3 watts, one 12AX7 and one EL84, plus Nick Greer's Genius.
Nick Greer is a genius, absolutely.
Philex uses one for a job reference. Nitro sprayed little box. Send you mine if you need. Yeah, I'd like that. I kind of, funnily enough, we started off this thing tonight and we mentioned Keith from 5 Watt World. And Keith's very passionate about lower wattage amps. And there is something uniquely superb about low watt amps. So it would be good to hear
there
one.
is. Indeed there is.
Yeah. Yeah, they have their own thing. A big amp turned down sounds nothing like a little amp turned up.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe we should have a chat with Uncle Nick then and see if he can beard us one across.
Awesome. Yes.
Chris Nolter, your brilliant show is partly responsible for my desire of a 65 Deluxe Reverb, says Chris Nolter. Fender raised the price though, so I'm rethinking. What are the alternatives for a clean tube pedal platform in that size and price range?
What's the price range?
$1,600 maybe, are they now?
Okay.
Trouble is, anything we'd recommend is more expensive than that.
Yeah. I don't know what the hook amp is, but that's really nice.
Oh, it's handmade, mate. Loads of money.
What's the Tone King, the Imperial?
Loads of money.
Loads of money.
You could buy a used one.
Yeah, buy a used one.
Yeah. It's such a ubiquitous amp. There'll be loads of used ones out there. I mean, you might need to get it breathed on by someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's a unique thing, a deluxe reverb. You know, lots of clones, lots of alikes out there. You know, the next thing we'd recommend is something like, hang on, where are you? In the US, Dr. Z probably does a 6v6 amp. But again, you're going to be looking at more money. So
Yeah, and someone's mentioned the Carl Rambler. I was thinking that, but they're really expensive.
loads of money.
Yeah.
What else? Who else makes good production line amps?
Oh, the Trainer, YVC4. The Trainers are great amps.
Yeah.
That's a good shout. I don't know what because they have been reissued, haven't they?
Yeah, someone's, I think,
yeah.
acquired the brand. Yeah, what else?
What's Victory got in that line?
V40 would be the amp. Doesn't have the sparkle of a deluxe reverb.
No. What does though?
Yeah, you know,
It's such a you know.
It's such
someone
a cool thing.
said the EHX Sovtech with like a MiG 50. They're wonderful, wonderful amps. They're very different than a deluxe.
Very different thing, yeah. I'd try and find a used one or hold out and find the money because it's a unique thing. It's iconic, timeless.
If what you're after is a deluxe reverb, nothing else is going to do.
Yeah. Not for that money anyway.
No.
Just trying to think. Yeah, good luck. Good luck, Chris. Alex241. I'm looking for my first fuzz. I love the Optimus machine. Recommendations for a more obtainable substitute. Thanks for making lockdown bearable, from Cooperstown, New York.
So we've done... Fuzz is a really broad term. You need to specify the type of fuzz you're after. So, for example, is it a big muff? Is it a fuzz face? Is it you tie a bottom end with something like a zonk machine, or loads. Sorry,
he is saying he loves the Optimus machine, which is a zonk.
The what machine?
The Optimus machine.
The zonk machine.
Which is
okay.
my super special
okay,
zonky.
so and that's okay. Right. So, what is the Legends of Fuzz?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is it the Crimson, or is that
no? The Crimson's the big muff.
And the Smiley is the fuzz face.
Yes.
The Bender.
The Bender. There you go. Tone Bender. Yep. So there you go. What you want is a Bender.
Yep.
You want to grab yourself Josh Scott's Bender, and then you'll be away.
Yep. Yeah. You've got to be careful where you insert it.
In the chain.
In the chain, yeah.
But give Josh a call and say, the guys at TPS told me to grab your Bender and insert it in my chain.
Sorry. Yes.
This is why we need to be gone at 7 o'clock.
JHS Legends of Fuzzbender is what we're going to say. But you like the Optimus machine, which is a take on something called the Zonk machine, which came out of John Horby Skews and Company in the 60s. So when you do your Googling, look for something that's Zonk machine-like. And it might be that there's some cool clones out there. But we'd probably go with the JHS Legends of Fuzz. Bender.
Yep.
Cool.
Curtis R says the deluxe reverb is going for $13.99 USD now, which is £1,000. So yes.
Yeah, they're at least that many pounds actually here now. Yeah. The other one you might want to look at, Alex, just to finish that off, is I think the Bender doesn't have the over octave in it, if I'm right, whereas the Zonk machine doesn't have an overt octave, but it has a bit of an octave. Check out the Mythos Argo.
Oh, there you go.
Or the Argonaut, which is the small version thereof. They're the different sound, but that's got a nice fuzz sound, but it's also got a dialable octave in it, which is kind of a different thing, but it might get you in that ballpark.
Right. Very good.
Check out the Mythos Orgo and the JHS Bender, and for that matter, the JHS Crimson, which is the one with the octave in it. Good luck. Eagle Ray Rob says, CXM 1978 by Chase Bliss is the most amazing pedal I've ever heard.
I agree.
The Preamp Mark II is similar. Is the Free the Tone Future Factory in this class? Are there modulation pedals with similar fidelity to the CXM? I can't put my guitar down. I may need CXM rehab.
The Future Factory, I won't speak for Mick, but the Future Factory for me is the best sounding delay I've heard in years. It is absolutely incredible.
I concur.
Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. There's a... Yeah, so the Future Factory is really great if you're running stereo. I mean, obviously it's really great if you're running mono, but it's really great if you want to do stereo things. The other Free the Tone delay, which was the
Flight Time.
The Flight Time is also wonderful, but it's a single, just a single side, but it's like a single side of the Future Factory. So if all you're running is in mono, and for whatever reason the Future Factory might seem really expensive or whatever, see if you can find a Flight Time, and you'll get that sort of thing. But the Future Factory for me is sort of stands in a league of its own. It's a really, really special sounding thing.
It's a very interesting question when you say, are there modulation pedals with similar fidelity? Because I'm going to assume what Dan's going to say, but what I would say is not. So the Future Factory and the CXM, very much digital, and that's a big part of that awesome fidelity and why they sound as good as they do. It's the manipulation of that technology to get those delays and reverbs into such lovely places. The same is not true with modulation.
No.
My opinion is that if you want fidelity out of modulation, it has to be analog.
No question.
Dan?
Yeah, no question. I've had conversations before with people when I'm building rigs that I was doing a friend's rig. He was going on tour with a major UK artist, and he was lamenting not being able to, he's got all these lovely old analog boxes at home, but he said, I'm only playing like flanger in one tune and chorus in one and one part of another tune. So he put the Mobius on there, and it did great for that. He's like, yep, perfect for that sort of gig. He said, but if he was doing his own thing, certainly for me, because modulation is such a big part of my sound, it has to be right. And I've never heard anything come close to, my Mistress or my MXR Phase 100, or, these things there's such a personality, and that there's a top end. Like, for example, if you this amazing, the Maestro Phaser MP1, there's this hi-fi top end in that. There's no way I've had anything come anywhere near that. Yeah. So it just depends how far down that modulation thing you want to go. If you're looking for an all-in-one modulation pedal because you want to use a thing here and there, it sounds great. There's a few. I mean, the Mobius is really good. The MD 500 from Boss is really good. The Wampler Terraform is really
Terraform is great.
Really, really good. Also, the GFI systems.
Yeah.
They did one as well. And they're all really good.
Yeah. Not to mention stuff like Helix Stomp and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All of which
The Helix Stomp, an H9. I mean, I've got an H9 on my board to do random bits and pieces for certain, harmonized guitars and things, and those sorts of things are really good. But if that sound is a centerpiece of your tone, then it is really, really hard, and you're going to struggle trying to find something that's going to replace that.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, congrats getting lost in that CXM 1978.
Yeah.
I will say again for the record, I've never had a reverb pedal through anything other than absolute teeth-gritted necessity before. And couldn't wait to get it off the board. Now, I can't envisage a pedal board with that not on it.
Yeah, totally.
It just sounds spectacular.
Revelation.
Yeah. Right. Chris Turner. Hello, Chris. He says TPS and 5 Watt World are my go-to shows. On the get the most from the least amount of gear, my wife's been doing that for years, putting up with me. Bless you. Bless the missus. Says, if you were going to pick one attenuator with a DI out at the moment, with cab sims, which one would you choose right now, under $1,500?
What's the aux?
That's exactly what I was going to look for. Yeah. So, analog. Great sounding attenuator. Would be this, the Iron Man 2 by Tone King, and I think as an analog attenuator it sounds really, really good.
Yep.
It has a DI out which sounds completely okay, and if you want to hear it, listen to it in my vlog from this week. And if you do any sort of post-production with EQ and all of that, you can take that from okay to really pretty decent indeed. So that would be a good shout. And it's really cool. You can mix impedances. So you can take a 4 or 8 or 16 ohm tap off your amp, depending on what amp it is, and you can run it into a 4 or an 8 or a 16 ohm speaker. So let's say
that's really cool.
Your amp's got an 8 ohm tap, but you want to run into a 16 ohm speaker. On many attenuators that's a problem. They have a fixed impedance level. With this it's variable, so that's pretty cool. It's all analog, so the DI out isn't subject to any digital tomfoolery, which means no latency. So that would personally be my choice of standard attenuator that sounds good, and then you can worry about all your post stuff post. However, if actually what you want is to attenuate your amp a lot and do a lot in post, I would personally choose the aux.
Yeah.
It's a worse attenuator in terms of tone, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Universal Audio aux, but the back end of it, the software end of it, is truly spectacular.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, if you want an attenuator to take your really nice tube amp that you play really loud and knock less than 10 dB off it and sound awesome and take a direct out, that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to add to that. If you want to attenuate completely and take an output, the 2 Notes Captor X, with the sounds that I've heard from that sort of recorded, they sound really, really good. So I'm going to get one and have a play, because I am really interested in that side of things. Just doing home recording and stuff, my ISO cab has changed everything for me, but what has been really interesting when I'm doing demos and I need to get a guitar sound up real quick and I'm just plug straight into the audio interface. That's obviously different now because I can get my ISO cab set up and that's ready to go. But when it wasn't, and I was playing through all these things, it was really, really interesting. Some of them sounded absolutely terrible, while other ones sounded great.
Yeah. I really like the user interface of the UA aux because it seems optimized for people like me who don't want to get into like PC menus, and I like the graphics of it. I like the simplicity of it. There aren't there are lots of IRs to choose from, but they're represented graphically, and they're represented in a way that just feels friendly and easy to me, and I like the way it sounds. As Dan says, the 2-note stuff is completely industry standard. Everyone uses it and gets on really well with it. It's too complex for me. So my choice would be, if I just want an attenuator to sound good and take a direct off, it's the Iron Man. If I actually want to attenuate a long way and really take advantage of the back-end features, it's the aux.
Yeah.
But suffice to say, it is our opinion that once you attenuate more than about 10 dB, it's not really your amp anymore anyway. It's a different thing at that point.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. Good luck. Edward Johns, congrats on the 50 and 500 landmarks. I may be hypercritical, but I love what you guys do. Here's a pint each when the pubs reopen.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Edward. And please continue to be hypercritical. And thanks for the pint. You know what? Dan and I both stopped drinking beer. But one of the first things I'm going to do is walk my dog down to the pub and sink about 5 pints of Guinness.
And then have your dog walk you home.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. She doesn't know the way, so who knows where we're going to end up.
See it mine then.
Thanks, Edward. William Young. Oh, this is interesting. What a great question, William. Is there a noticeable difference between vintage spec custom shop guitars and American original with custom shop pickups? That's
a great question.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Okay, as a Strat fan, although you could be talking about Tellys and Jazzmasters and Jags here as well, but I'll come from a Strat point of view. There are some things about American original that are a bit of a corner cut. So I think they've gone to a 9.5-inch radius board. I'm just going to guess that they're not as vintage finished as the custom shop guitars, and of course they're not relicked either. And for all of those of you out there who think relics are really silly, maybe they are, but there's no doubt that battering a lot of the finish off that guitar does two things. One, it removes some of the finish, and therefore that thing is breathing a bit more. Now, it does take a few years for that to happen properly in a guitar, I think, but anyway, that is happening. Secondly, what it does is it changes your approach to the guitar, so it takes away all the fear of playing that guitar. And I'm a big believer that knackered guitars are an inhibition remover, because you're not worried about scratching it.
Interesting.
And that's something that people don't talk about with relic guitars. I actually think that's their chief benefit from a psychological point of view. After that, I think it's going to come down to the individual guitars. I would say, as a whole, if you took 50 custom shop Strats and 50 American originals, personally, if you know Strats, I think you're going to like more of the custom shop ones. Personally.
Yeah.
But that is not to say that one of those American original guitars isn't going to be better than all of them, in your opinion. For example, that dodgy old Strat that I play all the time, my favourite guitar, is a guitar that preceded the American Original series. And this guitar, it's Pup Data Clock. This guitar is up there with 95% of custom shop Strats that I play in terms of sounds, look and feel. And it's an American vintage model. So it's certainly possible. And that's for me. Danish Pete thinks this guitar is junk. So it really...
Does he really?
Yeah, he thinks it's an awful guitar.
Oh, I think it's an amazing guitar.
So, not awful, that's not fair, but he doesn't really rate it as a Strat. So it's so unbelievably personal about what you're going to like and dislike about a guitar. But yeah, to answer your general point, could an American Original with decent pickups rival a custom shop guitar? 100% yes.
Yeah.
Hello, Rosie. Come on then, let's say hello to all the peoples. Hello, baby dog. Now, you're getting a bit big to pick up, and I know you don't really like being picked up, so we'll keep this short and sweet. And here you are.
She might be eating Velcro.
Oh, she's eating Velcro. Are you eating Velcro? Here she is, pup date. 23 weeks old now. There you go. There you go, Rosie.
She's amazing.
There you go. I think she's 23 weeks old now. We've had obedience breakdown this week, Dan. So complete loss of all obedience, which I think is fairly normal, isn't it, Rosie? Fairly normal. But the good news is the proper teeth are coming through, and therefore, I thought I could smell sausage. Has she had sausage? The training treats we feed her are like hot dog sausages.
Right.
And she loves it.
I bet.
You love a bit of sausage, don't you, Rosie? Here you go. It's like dog crack, yeah. Which is a whole other thing. Anyway, come on. Say hello to the people, Rosie. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Okay, you got a treat for doing nothing there, which isn't great, is it? Anyway, pup date. Rosie Sprocker, doing great. Obedience breakdown this week, but we think it'll come back, don't we, Rosie? We think it'll come back. Yeah. Still pulling on the lead. Right, go see mummy then. Good girl.
Right, Mick, it's 5 to 7.
Okay.
How we're doing super chats?
We're doing pretty good, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad at all. Sorry about that. You two are lifesavers, says Mark Lavinish. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, guys are Mark. As well, for what it's worth.
You really are. Wow.
You've done so much to make this past year livable, more than words can capture. God bless you all and those who help you.
Thanks,
you, Mark.
Mate. Wow.
Thanks for being with us. Oh, here's a question, Dan. Gologamoth wants to know, Ecosex Baby or Catlin bred Ecorec? Because the Ecosex Baby, I think, is quite a bit less dinero than the...
Yeah, right. I mean, if you're gonna ask us which one is our favourite, it's going to be the Catlin bred.
Yeah, well, there is one considerably important consideration.
Right. Preamp.
Nope. I think the Ecosex Baby, and you will need to check this, so please don't quote me on it, only has one head.
Oh, yeah, right.
Whereas the Ecorec has the multi-head.
Yes. The Ecorec is a really, really special pedal. I remember, seeing it for the first time at NAMM, and even in the furore of NAMM, it was like, wow, there's something to that. Really, really cool.
Yeah, it's great. So to double check this, if the Ecosex Baby only has one head, it's giving you the character of the Ecorec sound, but not really the Ecorec sound, because the Ecorec sound is all the heads crashing into one another, which of course happens in the Catlin bred thanks to the mode pot there, which gives you various combinations of the different heads. And if you want that Gilmour, almost reverby, a bit delay, Sid Barrett-y thing,
that's the one.
Got to be that one.
Yep.
Cool. Right, Chris. Custom Gretsch into a CGB 65, which I believe is a Dunlop wah pedal. TU3S MD500 Dualist D&M label maker, nice. Gladio, Supro, Boost, Flight Time, Kodiak Trem. Anything I should add? Blimey, that's a lot of pedals there, Chris.
Boy.
Interesting you running your MD500 before your overdrives.
I like it. Good man. MD500 though gives you the ability to switch pre or post.
Does it?
I think so. I know the. No. I think I'm thinking of the.
Yeah, you're thinking of the one for the Terraform.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if the MD500 does.
I know, it wouldn't surprise me at all, actually.
Yeah, we got one here. We've got one somewhere.
Yeah.
What are you missing? You haven't got a fuzz. You really
What delays you got?
You really need a fuzz. Flight time.
Ah, awesome.
Big boy delay.
Yeah, there you go. Matchless. Just stick it all in the front of a matchless.
Yeah, the only thing you don't really have there is a fuzz and an octave. If either of those things are interesting to you, you've got the you've got your wah wah. Does the MD500 have an envelope filter in it? Do you think?
It should do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of things that.
Be very surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah. Does the MD500 have a ring modulator?
I doubt it.
There you go. Your life is not complete.
You know what? We've never done it. We've never done the ring modulator thing.
Let's do it.
Yep. Okay. I want to get a really big fan in, and we'll compare the sound of a ring modulator to the sound of us speaking through fans. Like, like wind fans.
Oh, I thought you meant like a fan of ring mods.
No. Get a big, like, cooling fan.
Yeah.
And then we'll do our Dalek voices to the cooling fan, and then the same thing through the ring modulator pedal. Work out which one we like better.
Okay, I like that. I would also like to add a fan of ring modulators.
A fan of ring modulators.
Yeah.
Talking through a fan to get the sound of a ring modulator on a show about ring modulators.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the show will go roughly like this. Ring.
Hang on.
Ring.
External.
Hello.
I can't do it.
Welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
I can't do it.
Welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here, Mick here, hello. This week
Right.
we're going to do a show about ring modulators, and we've got a fan, and we've got a fan of ring modulators. We can then spend the next hour with the ring modulator fan explaining to us all the idiosyncrasies of each of the ring modulators.
Okay.
And at the end he can go, so which one do you like best? And we can say, well, they all sound the bloody same to us.
They do. Okay, done.
I think we could get on Netflix with that.
Yep. Oh, Netflix. This is what Netflix is missing,
Yeah.
I think. Definitely.
A show on ring modulators. Right. Marty, mad scientist. Oh, this is interesting. He's having a woke crisis. It's
Oh boy.
not a term I like, but anyway, we know what you're talking about. Is it okay to mess with the lyrics of classics like St. Louis Blues or old rock tunes that are maybe not so woke these days? For anyone who doesn't know, woke in this context is talking about being aware of issues that are sensitive and difficult. And I think it's a term used principally in terms of black issues, and therefore I guess there are certain lyrics in old songs which are politically sensitive and a little bit offensive these days. So should you change
the
the
woke
lyrics?
thing can be anything.
Hmm?
The woke thing can be, anything that people would take offense to. And, I get it. I totally get it. If you're uncomfortable singing those lyrics, change them. I've was singing Smells Like Teen Spirit since it came out. So sang that song for 30 years live, never got the words right once. I think as long as you get close and you'll be fine. Or don't do that song.
Yeah,
If
it depends if it offends you, I guess, doesn't it? Woke is a term that originated in the United States. First used in the 1940s, it's resurfaced in recent years as a concept that symbolises perceived awareness of social issues and movement.
Yeah.
Is what it derives from African American vernacular "stay woke," whose grammatical aspect refers to continuing awareness of these issues. That's what Wikipedia says. It's an interesting question. That I've in pretty much every bar band I've ever played, we do Brown Sugar,
Right.
and I sometimes don't really know how I feel about that song. It's pretty ugly lyrics in parts.
Yeah. And what are you going to do? Dun, 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 organic sugar. Dun. You know, it doesn't quite have the same thing.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. It's a good question. No doubt there'll be loads of people going, "Oh God, you guys!" Well, okay. Maniacal Lion says the best part of TPS is the relatability. We're so relatable. You both feel like friends who make a show about trusting your individual opinion over what the sound is. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, mate.
And thanks for being a continued supporter of this show.
Yeah, mate. That's really cool of you. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, the idea that we're relatable, Dan, I love that. Clons
Jack
and two
Duxbury
rocks.
said, I'll be that fan.
Yeah.
A big metal fan.
Stevie Boy 444. Thank you, Stevie Boy, for your generosity. No question. I'm just going to do another check that we haven't missed something. La 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 la. Oh, and there we go. Oh no, yeah, and that was the last one. So super duper. Well, we said we were going to try and get to the normal questions, but even that took us forever.
Well, we had 20 minutes of super chats, and it took us all the way through to after 7. It's amazing. Let's see. Russell Gallen says, I thought it was Kyle Gass on the screen at first. Special guest. Sorry, Dan. Yep. I've, as a lot of you has noticed, lockdown has been rough. I've been relicked.
Is Kyle Gass Jack Black's mate?
Yeah. He is classic. He was in Elf. Anyway.
Yeah, interesting. Quite a few people.
Neil Slade, will a beard help my vintage tone? Absolutely. And own it. Own the beard.
ZZ Top has some highly questionable classics too, says Corey Harris.
Oh, man.
I mean, rock and roll is full of dodgy... What's the Rod Stewart song? Hot Legs.
Oh, yeah. Money for nothing.
Yeah,
man.
well, apparently someone has said here... somebody says here that apparently Mark Knopfler changes those words now, so if he does, you can.
Yeah, right.
I want to... John Lennon says Suitcase Sam. I'm trying to... it was DCK Strat 90 who said about Mark. Mark Knopfler.
Cold Chisel in Australia had some shockers.
Jack Duxbury. Sorry, Dan, to interrupt you. Jack Duxbury, hi Jack, says he'll be the fan.
Yes.
For the ring mods.
Yeah.
It's a date, Jack.
Definitely. Guitar. Bring in a keyboard with a vocoder on it, and we'll do a versus thing.
Yeah. Isn't she lovely? Cool. Good.
Very good.
Yes, and Leo Voyage, you're absolutely right. We super chats were crazy tonight, so every week for the past 3 months we've said we need to do this differently, so we do.
We had a go. But how did you think it went, Nick?
How do I think it went?
Yeah.
Same as everything always goes down. Highly average, could be much better.
Had good intentions, I think, when we started. But we still went after 7 and only just finished clearing the 20 minutes of super chats. I don't know. It's what we do.
Quantum Vox, if you have to choose between a Mark 535 and a Tweed Deluxe 57 for a recording studio, which would you pick and why?
Tweed Deluxe every day of the week.
Yeah, me too, because you can amend it with pedals and stuff. I just think that amp's going to record better than a Mark 535. Robert Ritchie says, please don't become politically correct. Freedom of speech, please. Robert, we believe wholeheartedly and passionately in freedom of speech. We also believe in respect for other human beings. It's not political correctness. It's just respect. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's also freedom of speech there's consequences to things as well.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. But yeah, totally. Yeah, very, very much so. Booyah.
Let's finish then. Suitcase Sam says, serious question for Dan and Mick.
Ooh.
This is really hard. Peep Show or the Mighty Boosh?
Ah, man. Okay, I got to go Peep Show.
Me too.
Mighty Boosh is amazing. I love abstract stuff. But Peep Show, they're just, Mitchell and Webb are just so funny. Did you see that there's a show they did recently about this pub? Oh man, what's it called? It is absolute genius. Yeah, but I just think they work so incredibly well together. The writing in Peep Show is so clever. And of course, Peep Show has the wonderful, she was
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman in it. Man.
Who now's a right old lovey, isn't she?
Mate.
Having played the Queen.
Yeah, very good.
Anyway, good. Thank you, everyone, for your involve. Dan is doing this week's vlog. He's putting really expensive pickups in a really cheap guitar.
Filmed it today, and I will tell you right now, of all the vlogs I've done, this is definitely one of them.
You funny boy.
No, it's really, really interesting. It's really... I was surprised.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah. My next one is going to be inspired by Keith at 5 Watt World. How much gear do I really need?
Great.
I've started writing the list and I ran out of paper. I ain't using no 5 watt amp though, all right? Cool.
Beautiful.
Au revoir.
There we go, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Bonjour.
See you soon.
Grosse
Bye.
faces.